let's move in to the topic of the week. So when I made the plan for this month, and the plan was to talk about accountability, the videos made sense. Oh my gosh, there is a typo. Y'all, I need there to be spell check on this platform. I use a service called StreamYard. That's how I get like the pop-ups and all the things. And I love it. I think it's worth every penny that I pay to be able to have like my colors and whatnot. However, I need there to be spell check in these things because I mess up all the time. So when I made the plan for this month, the videos that I picked made sense to me. Why accountability, what, like the tips, and then personal examples, like that made sense. But then when I went to actually outline this video, I realized that all of my goals were achieved because of accountability. There's not like, well, these goals were and these goals weren't. Like, even as somebody who is very self-motivated and very, like, I can hold myself accountable, I still need accountability in some capacity. And if you want all the details, if you haven't watched last week's live, I highly recommend go back to that video. I go through so many tips and suggestions on how to actually hold yourself accountable. And I realized that I used all of those to achieve all my goals. Like, I could, in this, like the title of this video, like goals I've achieved because of accountability, I could literally talk about any one of my goals and share how I used accountability in one of the reasons from last week, or one of the ways from last week to achieve that goal. But we only have an hour. So instead, I'm going to share 3 big personal examples, 3 big goals I've achieved personally and how I used accountability for those. Then I'm going to do 3 other goals that I've also done personally, but more so I'm going to talk about with suggestions. These were ones that I saw in the comments that you need help with for accountability. So, I want to read these comments really quick. By the way, if you ever read Outlander, the first book is 800 pages. Probably not. I tried to watch the show and it wasn't here for me. When I create things like StreamYard pop-ups, I put them in a Word doc and then copy and paste. Linda, that is a great suggestion. Thank you. That definitely helps. I wish StreamYard would just incorporate spell check, but that is helpful. Okay, let's talk about 3 big personal goals that I've achieved and which pieces of accountability I used to do that. So number 1, shouldn't really surprise anybody, was building a business to quit my full-time job. So if you are new here or you have no idea, this is my full-time job. I work for myself full-time as a personal goals coach, where my mission is to help you achieve your personal goals. I do that via my YouTube channel and my community and my goal planner. That's my business. But before that, I worked in corporate America. I was an actuary, and then I worked in product management. I worked at New York Life for 9 years, almost 10 if you include my internship. And that was my full-time income, and that was what I used to pay the bills while I built this job or this business. That was a huge goal. And there's a lot of components to that, and there's a lot of varying accountability. But what I will tell you, one of the number 1 ways that I made this possible was investing in expertise and investing in coaching and having business coaches help me along the way, because a lot of this was mindset work. I could do the work. I could do the steps. I could come up with the ideas. I could follow through. I could do those things. But breaking through like the mindset components, I needed an expert. I needed somebody to talk me through how to actually do that. So that was the number 1 level of accountability. However, some other forms of accountability that did not cost near as much money. HB90. I've talked about HB90 before. That is the project management system created by Sarah Cannon over on Heart Breathings. I'm saying that slowly because I know that sometimes when I talk about Sarah, I talk way too fast. And it's perfect timing because the HB90 for Q4 actually opens up in like a couple of days. This is the time of year that I signed up. And my only regret is that I didn't sign up sooner. I kept putting off HB90, waiting until I could do it live with everybody. And I wish that I hadn't done that. I wish that I had just signed up when I thought about it, like the first time, and then done it when it was convenient for me. But the first time that I did it was this time of year. That changed my life. Now, I'd already quit my full-time job when I started HV90. So did it really help me achieve this initial goal, like the quitting part? No, but it's helped me maintain it 100,000,000%. The other thing that has really held me accountable is all of you. And I didn't really talk about this as an example last week, but I wanted to talk about it this week. Sharing your goals with other people can be scary, but when you talk about it, that is a layer of accountability. You're telling people, like, I am doing this, and then you have to do it. So that is another option that I didn't talk about last week. All right, the next personal goal that I achieved. Now, this is also these timelines are not like recent goals. So this was a goal that I achieved in 21. Well, from January of 21 to the wedding, which was March of 22, I lost 30 pounds. This was a goal that I had set year after year. This was a goal that I kept carrying over, that I wanted to lose weight, and I kept putting it off. And then the world shut down, and mentally and emotionally, I really struggled, and that made it even more difficult. So similar to the business goal, the first way that I kicked off this goal was working with a nutritionist and having somebody help hold me accountable, somebody that I actually told them, here are all the things that I ate this week. Here's how much water I drank. Here are all the things that I did. That was most definitely a good Kickstarter for me. However, the other big way that this goal, like I held myself accountable to this goal, was focusing on the small steps. I talked last week about how you have got to build up your own confidence. Confidence is going to be key to following through and holding yourself accountable. And the best way to do that is by breaking the steps into smaller things that you can actually build your confidence on. So many times in my life, had I tried to go to the extreme, I tried to do the no carb, I tried to do the no this, no that, 1,200 calories, all of those kinds of extreme things. And what I finally did instead was focus on the small swaps. I stopped putting sugar in my coffee. I started having a salad once a week for lunch. I started the littlest changes held me accountable because I could actually do them. They were so small that it was like, of course you can do that. Like you can add another 100 steps. You can add another 5 minutes of working out. Whatever it was, the small steps is what added up and actually worked for me to achieve this particular goal. And then the last big personal one was packing and moving across the country. And I picked this one because I think it can be really hard for us to have personal goals with deadlines. We can set them, like we can set arbitrary deadlines for ourselves all day long, but it's hard. It's hard to actually stick with them. And so this was an example of a goal that not only did we have a deadline like that, we didn't have a choice because our lease was going to be up, but then I, booked the movers, like the movers were coming. And so we had to get packed. And so the accountability of a deadline is the way that this goal worked. Like it was the only way that I was getting these things done, especially going back to Brittany's comment. It was my first trimester and I was so exhausted and so nauseous, and packing was tough. Like I didn't want to do it, but there was a deadline and I didn't have a choice. And so this is easier said than done for some goals. Some goals, implementing a deadline is really tough, but if you can find a way to schedule something, whether it's, a cleaning service is coming to your house, so you need to get, have things decluttered, whether it's why the next example I thought of was decluttering and you're having a party. And so you need to clear things out, whatever it is, whatever the reason is that you need, you schedule something so that there is a deadline in place for you to stay accountable to the goal. Okay, now I'm going to do 3 examples for you, things that I have achieved, I mean, honestly, all three of these things could have been mine too. But they were the most common ones that I saw. Sorry, my nose is itchy. In the comments on the first week's video on accountability. So the first one is finances, budgeting, spending, that whole category. Another great resource, by the way, if you need actual action steps, I did a whole action step series. I've done two, actually. I did one in 22 and one in 23, and they are both good in terms of like figuring out action steps for your goals. And finances were part of both of those. But when it comes to accountability, this one can be tough if nobody else is involved, if nobody else is looking at your finances. Now, so I'm going to talk about this in two scenarios. One scenario is somebody else involved, a spouse, a partner, significant other, etc. Part B is it's just you. So when you have somebody else, get them involved. Like tell them, I'm not going to spend more than X. And then you have to explain yourself when you do, right? Like part of it for us is more tracking our budget. And so I send a summary email to Sam, my husband, every month. Here's what we spent. Here was our income for both of our businesses. And here's what we spent last month. And here was our like net at the end of the day. And that level, like knowing that I'm going to share that with him, not only keeps me tracking our finances, but also makes me second guess things when I'm going to spend on something. Because then I'm going to be like, oh, this category, has this big number. And, am I going to be excited to share that with them at the end of the month? If you are alone, is there somebody that you could share that with? Do you have a friend? It's so unfortunate. Money is such a topic that people are so shy about talking about, and understandably, that's just how it's been. And it's just like taboo to like talk about money. Can you find a friend, a family member, somebody that you can have a conversation with and be like, I am going to share my spending with you, or I'm going to tell you at the end of the month what my net balance is. Whatever it is that you're working towards, I'm going to tell you how much debt I paid off this last month, and share that with other people. It's going to be really helpful. The other accountability suggestion I have for this goal is you have got to be clear. This goes into the tip about knowing why this goal is important to you. What are you doing with that extra money at the end of the month? What is the job of that money, right? So you have your income and your expenses, and then the ultimate goal is that number at the end of that is positive. If it is negative, then that's a whole nother conversation. But the positive, when it's positive, what are you doing with that? Are you saving for a down payment? Plaster pictures of the house everywhere. Are you saving for your kids' college fund? Remind yourself, what is that extra money going towards? And have a purpose. Have a purpose for that extra money at the end of the month. Have it going towards something important. Have it mean something besides just like, oh, I'm saving. Well, what are you saving for? Where is it? Or are you paying down debt? Have a debt like tracker. Tracking in general visually is a really good accountability for this goal as well. The next one was routines. I saw this one a lot, and we did all routines last month. Every video from July and even the first one in August from the lives were all about routines. So if this is something that you are still struggling with, go rewatch those. And the big summary is that one step at a time. For me, I think the best accountability, well, see, that's just it. I was trying to make this about you, this section, not about me. There's a lot of different of those accountability tools from last week that I talked about that you can apply to routines. You could track, you can, you've got to know why it's important. You've got to have it be what it means to you, building up your confidence, having it be small, pulling other people in. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to tell you, I looked as if Sam could like hear me. He doesn't even watch my videos, y'all. He is working on getting up earlier and working on a morning routine. And so guess who's waking him up every day? It's not his alarm. Pull somebody in, pull somebody else in, somebody that you're going to text when you wake up in the morning, or you're going to text when you brush your teeth at night, or you're going to text, or you're going to share XYZ. Pull somebody in to help you with that routine. That whole section last week on your friends and family, I promise you could probably pull somebody in to help you with whatever routine it is that you're working on. And then the last one is reading. And this is not only a very common goal that a lot of you said down in the comments, but obviously something that I've worked on too. For me, reading and accountability comes down to what's the purpose behind the book that I'm reading? When am I going to be reading? And does that make the most sense for my life right now as it stands? And then tracking. Being able to check those books off on Goodreads and see those little fireworks when I hit my goal, it's huge. It's like, it's the biggest serotonin boost ever. It is serotonin? Is that the right one? Or is it adrenaline? I don't know. Regardless, reading, tracking, and being able to see the progress that you're making while reading, to me, has always been the best accountability tool. But you could also pull other people in on this one too. You can have a book club that you pull it, that you have with people and that you share. You could start sharing your reading things on your social media. There is a girl that I grew up dancing with who started, it's actually kind of amazing. She started sharing her reading, like her books on her personal Instagram. And then people started following her that weren't like friends and family. And so then she turned it into like a public Instagram. And now she like gets to go like all kinds of cool opportunities. She's like a book influencer. Is that a word? I know what it like book talk is a thing. She does it on Instagram. Regardless, it is very cool. But my guess is she didn't start that with that end goal in mind. It started as an accountability tool to read and to share what she was reading. All of the pulling people in and sharing pieces of accountability, I understand that it can be so scary. It can be so intimidating and like, nobody's going to want to help me. Nobody is, what if I don't do it? That fear has to be less important than you actually doing that goal. What is that quote? I was trying to remember what that quote was. I know it's from the Princess Diaries, but I know that whoever said it, that had nothing to do with the Princess Diaries, but it's courage is not the absence of fear, but rather that, what is it? That something is more important. It's something I'm for sure messing it up. Courage is not the absence of fear, but rather something like the knowledge that something else is more important. If any of those accountability things that we talked about last week scares you, go back to the why and remind yourself that you achieving that goal is more important than the fear. So I know I said last week that a great tool for accountability is to join the community. And that is true. I still stand by that. That is, I did not talk about that at all. Well, I guess I did a little bit talking about how you are my accountability. But one thing I want to tell you about the community that I wasn't ready to share last week because it wasn't almost done, and now it's actually almost done. Like it will be done today, is the revamped replay library. So I am so excited about this, y'all. First off, the Goals of Laken community has existed for over 4 years. I missed our 4-year celebration. Next year, I need to remember. Actually, I'm going to write that down right now that I don't forget to do something big for 5 years. But in our new format on Teachable, there are hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of old calls. But when somebody joins, or even a current member goes back to look at those calls, it can be so overwhelming, so overwhelming. So I finally decided to do something about that. So with the help of my VA, we have been going back, taking every call from we started with March of 2023. That's when we started on Teachable. That was our current format. And we took we cut up the calls into chunks and took every Q&A, every hot seat, every teaching section that I did. And instead of having it sorted by date, we chunked it up to break it down by category. And these are the categories that we have ended up with. I didn't make these categories to begin with. I just was like, we're going to see how things shake out. And these are the categories that we have ended up with. We have 1 more month to do today. And then once we do that month, it'll be done. And I'm going to click on, and you're going to be able to see that. Community members are going to be able to access this. And I'm so excited because I think this is so much more helpful for you to be able to go back and have as a resource versus the way that it was set up before. So, yeah, I'm like looking at this and I'm just so proud of it. There's over 150 videos Some of them, they range anywhere from 2 minutes. Like I talked about something for 2 minutes to 30 minutes. Some of the hot seat calls are closer to 30 minutes. But they're sorted by topic. So you only have to watch the ones that are helpful for you. And I'm just so excited about it. So this will be live either later today or tomorrow. It depends. Like I said, I have plans with my family tonight. So I may not get to it today, but at the latest tomorrow, it's going to be toggled on and all these videos will be up. So I'm really, really pumped about that. And I wanted to share that with you. Oh, I had a little pop-up for it that I forgot to use. So